This is the BugEye drum. Hi, I'm Gwendolyn, the Patch Pixie and Lake Worth Fairy Bard. I made this instrument in PatchWorld VR. It's a synthesizer with buttons laid out like a handpan or a tongue drum. And you can change the scale at the hit of a button. I have several here. I want to program more, but this is just a look at what we got. You can change the root note of your scale here. So you got the octave selector here. And then these change the intervals between the notes. So this is chromatic. So those are all the scales I have programmed here. If you want to see a further look on how it actually works, check out my YouTube or on Patreon, patreon.com/GwenK, patreon.com/GWENK. See you there. Okay. If you're here on YouTube or Patreon, here's a look how we got going. So we'll just open this up. I think yeah. Okay, yeah, we got to look here. It's a 4-voice synthesizer. Each of these is some sound design going on, and when you hit the button, they cycle through whatever voices so they don't overlap. Sound design, you hit the button. Okay, there's a lot more going on here. We'll take a look. There it is. There it is. Okay. So this is the math of all the scales. And the scale selector. So when you hit one of these notes, so this is a Midi note. Middle C, if we go up here to C4, is 60. Middle C is 60. And each note is each number is a half step. So 61 is C sharp is 61. D is 62, D sharp is 63. If we go up to the octave to C5, that's 72. We go down to that C, it's 48, adding 12 minus 12. So this dial here selects these how many half steps we're adding for the octave. So that changes the octave of our root note, which is the big note in the center. Then these buttons select whichever array of math you want the scales to be set to. So all of these numbers, chromatic, easy as simple. Chromatic just each goes up by a half step. So 1 through 11. All those numbers get then sent down over here to the Midi to frequency. So the scale numbers come in here, the BugEye tone scale step, and they go into this math block, which adds this number to this number that you get from the root note. So that adds that number, and then this block gets it, and it receives this wireless receiver. Is set to one channel for each of the buttons. So when you press that button, it triggers this number and gets sent to the MIDI out, which then the MIDI out comes. You could have it plug it in from this wireless receiver into whatever synthesizer you want. But then the MIDI out goes to here and sends the MIDI number to it cycles through sending that MIDI number into here, which is a MIDI to frequency, which this block converts that C, that 60, into 262 hertz, which hertz is a measure of frequency, which is cycles per second, the number of times something goes back and forth or up and down every second. So like here, this is a sine wave, that nice round up and down. It's go in this triangle wave, up and down, going at 262 times every second, or well, it's actually 261.6 if you want to get granular. It's not perfect. This is all in relationship to the note A being 440 hertz, 440. So if we come over here to our A, yeah. Yeah, 440, A440, there it is. That's the A here. It comes in 440. I have this. So if that was a string vibrating, if it was on a violin, the string would be vibrating back and forth 440 times every second. And if you were on, say, a stringed instrument, if you were to push your finger down exactly in the center of the string, effectively cutting in half the portion of it that's vibrating, so only half of it is vibrating, it's then vibrating at double the speed. It's vibrating at 880 times per second, which is twice as fast. So that's the octave above. So my sound design is I'm adding these two waves together, two different octaves of two different types of sounds in together, along with some reverb here to give it some a tail. And then this is an envelope generator. This also sends a signal to tell the note to start, and then it tells it also when to stop. So if this wasn't here, it would just be generating one long tone, and that gets annoying after a while. So this is a very important piece of equipment. Then this little receiver that you see on all here, there's a wireless, it's kind of it's hidden right now, but this volume knob adjusts this between 0 and 1. So if it's all the way to 0, it's not going to make any sound, but as we raise it up, the volume is up. So this controls the volume of our synthesizer. And that's how that's working. Oh, the math of the scales. Open. Okay. So each of these just gets sent to these math blocks. So each of these just adds however many half steps above the root note that this array tells it to. So this is how these are what's telling the scales how many half steps. There's a lot of math. I've did this math a long time ago when I was making steel tongue drums out of propane tanks, and figuring out all the scales for that. So that's where this. I've always wanted to make an electronic version, and now I finally have done it, thanks to PatchWorld VR. So here we are, the BugEye synthesizer. That's fun. Okay, check it out, PatchWorld VR. And follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/GwenK, patreon.com/GWENK for behind the scenes looks at stuff and tutorials and I don't know, stuff. Bye. See you in the next episode.